Hello, Chai, and
Hello.
welcome to Sunday Serve, darling, where we dive headfirst into all of the juiciest gossip from RuPaul's Drag Race UK Season 7. Are
Let's
you
do
ready to
it.
serve it to us, darling?
Yes, ready to spill the chai tea.
Oh, yes.
Let's
Let's get straight into it. So, how has the
do
last
it.
24 hours been? Now, like you've just said, you were obviously at Heaven last night, but how has it been kind of with the reception online? It must have been wild for you in the last 24 hours.
Yeah, it's been one hell of an emotional roller coaster. Like, obviously, being on the show is not what anyone there wants, right? Like, we all have a certain fantasy in our heads, but I could definitely feel that's the way the tide was going. The last few weeks haven't been the strongest for me, so it felt like this was my time, and I'm at peace with that. Do I wish I could have gone further? Of course, but yeah, the biggest like outcome of all of this is the fan response, which has been so like incredible, so touching to just know that people have resonated with what I've been putting out there as a performer and as a person. So yeah, there's so many emotions right now. It's probably going to take me a few days or however long to kind of compute it all. I'm just kind of it's kind of fight or flight right now, right? And we're fighting, so yeah, it's a
Amazing.
lot.
And like you said there, with reactions and the fans, I would actually go as far to say that your kind of title of this season has been the Robbed Queen. Like people are livid online. Not necessarily only
I'm
with
livid
the
too.
elimination, but also your kind of your critiques from the judges. Now, I think the fans are like, we're loving everything that you're doing. However, how does it feel to kind of being not only just adjusting to being a Ru girl, but also having that reception from the fans of obviously they want you to be like at the final. They're seeing your kind of full growth in the show as well.
Yeah, I mean, to have external validation is, it means everything because I alluded to kind of having, self-confidence and self-worth issues in the last episode. And, we all face that to some extent, I imagine, right? And to have the girls around me supporting me, but also people in the outside world on social media who, don't know me but have identified with my journey or identified with my drag, it just gives you that real push to keep on keeping on because when I came out of Drag Race and filming, I genuinely was a little bit broken and I took a good to even think about getting back thrown, I think, because I've only had a career of 5 years, but as a person, I've really grown to trust my gut instinct with things. And when I was on stage doing the girl group performance, I felt in my heart that I was delivering and I felt that my lyrics were really, they were meaningful as well as meeting the brief, and that meant a lot to me as well. So hearing the feedback that I faded into the background, I was like, oh well, I must have done it, and I can't argue with that. But watching it back all these months later, it was a really kind of healing process because not one point did I fade into the background, and I will die on that hill saying that. And it was wild that I was in the bottom three. However, it's the nature of the competition. It's subjective, art is subjective, drag is an art. So if that's some people's opinion on me, I will respect that. The judges are there to do their job, and that's fine. I will give my opinion and say that I shouldn't have been in the bottom three for that. But you know,
Yeah.
back me up in that. So it is what it is.
Absolutely. And I just want to say, seeing you on this season has been nothing short of incredible. Now, in terms of the challenges are one thing, but let's talk about these runways. Now, you've never missed when it's come to the runways.
Thank
What
you.
was your kind of your favorite part of the process when it come to preparing your package? Because it was quite spectacular.
Thank you. First of all, thank you so much. Yeah, I get real power from fashion and from costumes and from outfits. It's in and out of drag. It means a lot to me, and it's where I find a lot of my confidence comes from. So, to be given this brief of runways, however many weeks before we went, it's really fun. That for me is where I can let my creative references and touch points kind of I can bring them all in and just kind of start playing and being fun. I'm not a seamstress, I'm not a designer by any means, but I think I've got a really good editorial and I've got a photographic memory for themes. So, the ab fab bag that I stepped out of, I think it was like a day's spread that I saw 5 or 6 years ago, where it was like a Moschino spread and the model was wearing a Moschino bag. and I ripped it out. I've not got it anymore, but it's stayed with me. And I just knew that it's just fun, like putting those puzzle pieces together from the different creative parts of my brain and, bringing it together into a look and working with designers and, really talented designers and seamstresses is, is one of the reasons why I do drag. So being able to do it on such a stage and for you to receive it really well, it's, it means a lot to me because so much hard work goes into those weeks of prep, like probably even harder than the show itself in some ways, because working a day job and like literally eat, breathe, sleep, shit, drag, like it's a lot for those weeks building up to it. So yeah, it's a lot of hard work, and knowing that you're in Drag Race with the package that you brought and there's no changing that, unless you can whip something up in your spare time, of which there isn't any, you're taking a risk, right? So you have to really back your package, back yourself. So knowing that it's been received really well, I'll take that, to my heart, and it really does mean everything to me.
Absolutely. You should be proud as well, because, like I said, it was spectacular. Um,
Thank,
Now,
thank you.
this week was the talent show. Now, they decided to plonk the talent show in the middle of the season this time. Never been done in Drag Race
Hmm.
UK.
Hmm.
How did it feel knowing that you were about to kind of step into the talent show, but you'd already kind of showed yourself throughout the season already? Did you kind of have your feelings ready to kind of go and hit it out of the bag? Or were you thinking, okay, now I need to kind of like double down on the talent because we're halfway through the season? How was that kind of mentally going into it halfway through?
Yeah, it definitely threw a few of us for a loop. Bones touched on it in the episode because, you think we all assumed it was week one, right? And that was our mistake. No one said to us it was week one. That's just how it's been done historically. So that's the first lesson here, is never think you know what's going to happen or how things are going to work, because the producers and the storyline will just prove you wrong, because, they keep it exciting. They keep everyone on their toes. But yeah, would I have done that in week five? No, I would have done more of a burlesque number. I would have stepped out of it and really given you the contrast between the stupid camp of being a dumpling and then maybe giving the sexy. It's obviously, with hindsight, you'd make all these different decisions, but it's one of those things where you have a minute to showcase yourself. I made that number thinking it was week one, so I wanted to show a stupid, silly campsite, knowing that maybe we'd have the hometown runway as well, which is one of my favorites. And I think it's probably one of the most fierce looks that I brought to the runway. So having that as a package to me felt like a winning combination, but that's not how it worked out. So, we can't pretend or think we know what's going on, because, it's just not how the cookie crumbles sometimes.
Absolutely. And like you said, you never know when a curveball is going to come on Drag Race, so
Yeah. And there are many.
there you go.
There are many. Yeah.
Speaking of Bones, you unfortunately landed in the bottom two with
Yeah.
our sister. Um,
Yeah.
how
Oh,
did it
dear.
feel kind of standing across from Bones in that lip sync moment? Now, we know that you are a fierce performer, and then obviously Bones likes to name herself the Queen of Soho. So how is it to kind of stand across the stage from her in that moment when the lightning struck and knew that you were about to have to lip sync for your life?
I mean, so many emotions. First of all, it was just number one, really humbling, because I called Bones and Paige, juggernauts of drag, in Untucked, and that's because to me they are. Knew I was fans of them first before I even started doing drag. So really humbling to think that I was even number one on the same level playing field as them going into Drag Race, but then also sharing a stage with Bones as someone that I, literally is one of the reasons why I do drag. So it can be daunting. It was humbling, but I was not going to go down without a fight. I said, I think last in the episode 4, I was going to be pushed out. I wasn't going to let myself just fall out. So, she quite literally did push me, not on purpose, I'll add. But yeah, it was such a fun lip sync, and like doing a Florence song with Bones. I was like, I have to bring this because Bones does Florence. She's so good at doing Florence. So I wasn't going to let myself, fall into the background in any way. And I think we did a really good lip sync. People have said they couldn't call it, and Bones told me last night that when I had left the main stage, they heard Rue talking and said like that was a lip sync. So like, what back can you get from Rue herself about your lip sync than that? So really proud, and it was so much fun doing it with Bones, even though we bumped into each other. But we both did that like really typically like British thing where we like apologize. You can't see it on camera, but as I turned around, I went, "Sorry, babe," and she went, "Sorry, babe." Like it was just so like one of those silly moments where like you step on someone's shoe and then like they apologize to you. It's kind of like just so like overly polite as we all are over here.
Babes, honestly, I'll say the lip sync, yeah, you devoured. Ate that up, ate that up.
Thank you.
Now,
Thank you.
baby, let's get into it. We're going to do a little quick fire round.
Oh
I just want
gosh,
your
right.
opinions on the
That is
episode,
a
Diva.
stretch.
Okay.
Okay.
So I want to know what was, in your opinion, who had the biggest serve in today's episode?
For me, Tyrus delivered at the viewing party last night. Everyone was roaring with her talent show number, and it's one of those things that like really stick. It's an earworm, right? I went home like that night filming it, and also last night having seen it again, saying watermelon, 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 watermelon. Like it's so catchy, and to like come up with a number that people remember. And to inject it with so many like Tyrusisms, and there was so much of her personality in it, and then to like bring and crush a watermelon with your thighs,
Right?
she's the Titan of Titan, and rightly so. You know, like that number was next level.
Yeah, I've never seen a Brit crew member on all fours with an arc back during a number. So I was like,
No,
what is going on?
and you know what? All of us sitting there at the side watching the Brick Remember on all fours, like you know, we've been sequestered for however many weeks at this point. So we were all just like, "That's a very fine man with his ass towards our face." And
You
we're
had a
like,
different viewing.
yeah, 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 yeah. His number was great, but that was
Mm,
the view I think that caught our eye.
mm, I'm sure it was.
Mm,
On
mm.
the flip side of that, is there anyone who you thought was overlooked on the like the runway or in the challenge?
I think Sally is probably could have been another one of my favorites because I just want to get in her brain and try and figure out what's going on. Like, because I think it's one of those things you just can't understand nor will you ever, but I love it so much. Like, Rue was laughing from I think like the very first line Sally said, and to me that's always such a good sign that a number's about to go down really well when Rue gives a laugh in the first 3 to 5 seconds. And like just the small things like I like to go on walk. Like it's just so stupid and it makes no sense. But it makes complete sense in this realm that is Sally TM. And I think that's why for me she's another one of the top ones last night. Because it was
Oh,
just so memorable, so unseen before. You know, it speaks for itself.
hating Rue as an egg. I mean, come
And
on,
then
come
having the egg on her back, the back of her neck,
right,
oh, the makeup, sorry, on the back of her neck.
mind
Like a
blown,
gag. Yeah,
gagged.
yeah.
I want to know if you could swerve the bottom, who would you put in your place?
Oh, why she? Why she? Why she?
All
Why you doing this to me?
hard-hitting journalist questions. Thank you.
Yeah. If I had to swerve the bottom and then put somebody else in my place, I'm sorry, why she? I'm going to give you the pageant answer and
Oh,
just say
okay, I'll take it.
it would have to just by proxy defer to Paige, not because I
Mm,
think she was in the bottom, but if
yeah.
that's what the judges thought, I'm going to say that. And you can call me boring for saying that, but that is how I would like to answer the question.
No, it's not boring at all, sister. Our pageant sister.
I live for Paige. Again, another one was that I went singing like part that Paige does what Paige does
Yeah,
next level, and then the remix part two boots. Like she's just the girl that everybody wants to be like, and she is
yeah,
that person that we look up to. So
yeah.
bottom
She's
was
a
also wild
powerhouse.
for Paige that week, but that's the subjective feedback that the judges had, and they're entitled to do so because art drag is art, and it's there to be critiqued. So.
Very, very that. Okay, little Miss Pageant. I want to know: is there a moment in the workroom that we didn't get to see that you wish we had seen?
Yes, actually, speaking of
Ooh,
Sally, in episode 2, when it
mm,
was the sewing challenge and we were partnered together, we had a conversation about kind of like our struggles with dating. So
mm,
Sally, I don't want to speak on her behalf or say things that I'd rather come from her, but in short, she has struggled with her confidence and dating as being as somebody that's bald.
mm.
And my part that added to the story was that dating as someone who's Asian, you know either I'm fetishized and exoticized or I just get, straight up like not into Asians, or I'll get like no, and then the chopsticks emoji when I message somebody on, these apps and stuff. So that was a conversation that to me was really worthy of some screen time, because I'm not alone in that, and neither is Sally. And
Mm,
it's a really important spotlight because that's hate coming from within our own community that's already
mm,
on the receiving end of so much hate already in the world. So, if showing that conversation meant that it would make people who are so ready to be hateful just think and
yeah,
consider even for a second, then it's worthy of screen time for me. But I get it's 2 or 3 days of filming condensed into an hour, and you've got the storylines that need to come into play for the episode to make sense. So I get it. It's one of those things that for me was a real shame, because yeah, but
yeah,
I had to live
absolutely.
with
And
that.
listen,
Yeah.
listen, sister, I'll fight anyone. So let me know. Just let me know where
I'll
these
see you
people are, and
there.
I'll come and fight. Okay, I'm ready to
Thank you.
defend. Okay,
Thank you.
and now, now your time on Drag Race is over, but it doesn't mean that you're over, sister. I want to know, is there anything that you got coming up? Anything you want to speak about? Anything you want to do? This is it. You're a Drag Race girly now, darling. The
Yeah,
world is
I mean,
yours.
yeah, it's crazy to say that I'm a rude girl. What? But no, the next, I mean, I am a workhorse, as I'm sure you know, why she like I
Mhm.
say yes to all the opportunities that I'm very thankful that are coming my way. So, I just want to go wherever I'm being booked and just prove that I'm not this quiet, timid, fading into the background diva that, I might have come across as on the show, because that's not my reality. So I'm going to go and do the hard work to show that I am a force to be reckoned with, because I believe that I am. So yeah, I'm just gonna keep working, keep doing my thing. I'm working on a single at the moment called Blended, which is kind of like an extension of my verse from She Ate That. So blended being like a play on, beverages, but also mixed heritage background. So it's an extension of my verse, and I'm really, really excited to kind of bring that out into the world and film a music video. Yeah, more live music. I've started doing a bit more of it recently. I'm not like the best vocalist, but I think drag queens get a bit of a free pass sometimes with having, a shaky voice, but you can get
Mm.
away with it if you sell it correctly. So yeah, just kind of pushing myself out my comfort zone. Drag Race taught me that, and I was definitely, yeah, out my comfort zone. But that there's a beauty, and I think that's where some of us can find new skills and tap into things that we didn't know that were there. So yeah, just
Oh,
continue saying yes. Chai
yeah.
phonetically means yes in Thai, so it's yes is my mantra.
Yes, say yes. Oh, well, I can't wait, darling. I can't wait to see you. I'll be there front row, darling. Don't worry about that.
Oh,
See
thank you,
you
my
there.
diva.
Mm.
Can always count on you, Yshee,
I know.
for a good time.
For a good time.
For a good time.
Oh gosh. Well, thank you so much, Chai. You've been
Thank
absolutely
you.
amazing. I'm so excited to see what you do next. You're going to be very missed. You will be missed.
Mhm.
But
Thank you,
don't
diva.
worry, it's
Thank you.
always and forever been Team Chai here at Sunday Serve. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you so much to both of you. I appreciate that. Oh, Team Chai
Any
is there.
anytime. I love you, and
I love you
I can't
too.
wait to see you. Give you a big massive hug.
Can't wait. I'm ready. I'm spread. I'm ready.
Oh, there we go. Well, take care, my love.
Love
Bye,
you,
my
Love
love.
bye.
ya.
Bye, Ryan. Bye, Yshee. Thank you so much.
Bye. Mwah.
Mwah.
Bye, baby.
See you soon.